We talk a lot about portable games here, but not often are they from the Game Boy Color. Mostly because I never played a lot of them. Why is that? Because my mom got me a used Game Boy Color for Pokemon Crystal. Before then, I preferred Super Game Boy. I guess that's one way to say I preferred large self-lit screens. So I grabbed loads of Game Boy games and just passed over the color-only titles until the Game Boy player on GameCube. Which by then I was on to GBA titles, so I think it's about time we fix that oversight. Grab some GBC games and just get into it.
Finally. Something good on TV. Game Boy Color. Get into it!
3D Pocket Pool is a game that came up first on the list. I wish that's all I actually had to say about it. Honestly, it mostly is. Aside from the sound being so bad, I had to check if the capture was messed up. Interesting look to the pool table, but no idea how to change up the way I take my shots, and almost immediately regretting this decision. It's slow, annoying, and I kinda just wanted to move on. Alright, Sierra. I mean, I'm already more optimistic about 3D Ultra Pinball, which seems to be heavily Hershey inspired. That and a theme park's car park. It controls pretty well, decent music, plus the light up flags actually rotate when you hit the bumper buttons. You know, like a real pinball table. You'd be surprised how often that feature is overlooked. It's a pretty slick pinball title. I'm decently impressed. Interesting bonus challenges too, which the little subrooms are the biggest advantage video pinball has over a classic table. So that scores some bonus points in my book. It's as generic as you expect an unbranded pinball game to be, so you better just really enjoy the mechanics, because there won't be any Mario or Star Wars references to cheat a little extra goodwill into the title. You could do worse, but you could do a lot better and on the same system. It's not bad, but it's not worth buying. 4x4 World Trophy sucks. At first. I found myself hating this right out of the box, but it grew on me. Decent upgrade system, making the game standard mechanics like a map or GPS. Something you have to earn. I still don't like it, and definitely don't understand the patrol mode option. That said, if I had little other to play, I'd probably kick this around for a while. It's got that classic, this game is only $5 feel to it. Something bought used as an afterthought when picking up the game you actually went to the store to get. Its controls are about as bad as okay can get, due largely to how close you stay to the screen's edge compared to the size of your truck. Which I guess I kinda understand. It is a Game Boy game after all. Screen real estate is in short supply. On average, I think the Game Boy Color is 33% smaller in the displayable pixels than on the NES. So it's not just screen size requiring a larger sprite, but the amount of space the sprite takes up in relation to the stage elements, that's a difficult thing to balance. I do have to say, though lacking in game music, the amount of steps, ramps, and other mix-ups in the track is pretty nice. I appreciate the effort, just not so much the execution. .007, the world's not enough, huh? I mean, it already looks cool. Decent enough music, fairly clunky controls, especially with the fights. Whomever hits first just keeps hitting. The first one to shoot keeps shooting. But it's with that awkward from the side projectile, which ordinarily would be fine, but when shooting out one errant pixel on a tiny scrunched up screen, I'd have hoped for more leniency with the hitboxes. I was interested in seeing where this goes, but the lack of checkpoints just makes me check out. I did beat the first stage after a few tries. When stage 2 became more of the same, I just couldn't bring myself to keep at it. I can't even see die-hard Bond fans having much fun with this title. Not with a Metal Gear game, also available on the same system. I barely remember Ghost Babel, but I remember it being better than this. Though, you know, being a tie-in game, I was expecting worse, so split the difference. Now, who doesn't like bowling? Even if you're not good at it, it's still pretty relaxing. It's literally just knocking shit over without having to clean it up. It's like if they made a sport out of visiting your friend's house after school. The curve shot here in Tin Pin is just useless. Way too sensitive. Only once did I get it to work correctly. And out of the 2 power meters, I only understand the bottom one. Now I will say, although I hate how you just foul the ball if you overcharge and lose a turn, it does have an audio clue when you're getting close, giving you time to try and adjust that curve. Yet I still played better bowling on Atari, so there isn't anything redeeming here. I won't waste more of your time talking about it, or more time of mine than I already sunk into playing this title. 102 Dalmatians, in French, was not fun. It took a bit to figure out, a feat not made easier with how busy the stage design looks, poor edge detection, and generally just one leap of faith after another. I never felt confident on what I could actually jump on here, which is bad since the whole game is walking around branching paths, looking first for a key and then some caged puppies. You know, I'm just gonna say it without a forced pun. 102 Dalmatians reminds me of a cool spot. Explore and collect until you find the captured plot device, rinse and repeat. Being a children's game, it's not bad. For the time, that is. For the time, this would have been a decent time waster. Now, though, it's not even really worth checking out. Unless you really like Disney shows or games about dogs. Skateboarding and its games are things I always wanted to like, but never really got into. This 720 Degrees game is one I didn't know was related to the Skate or Die franchise. If it's not, then they straight up ripped them off in every way but fun. I legitimately enjoyed Skate or Die. So when this abomination suddenly screamed it at me, I was taken aback. Come to think of it, I kinda remember a game that was more like this. I also didn't like that one. You skate around, avoiding obstacles and earning cash from tricks to upgrade your gear and obtain tickets to various skate parks. A decent enough concept, sure. If only the controls weren't so terrible. That, and I know I was complaining about how big the truck was in 4x4 World Trophy. But come on, this sprite is so small, I barely know where I'm facing. Which makes the tank controls that much worse. Then for whatever reason, it has an oppressively tight time limit for you to earn enough money to get to the next park. Something that if they just removed it, I would almost enjoy this title. As it is though, the game doesn't even want you to get comfortable with the controls. It's frustrating and stressful from start to finish. This one is so unpleasant, it needs to get the lethal injection. This isn't the worst version of 1942 I've played. Probably. I mean, it does hurt my eyes. It's slower than it should be, and so that makes it rather uninteresting. Small planes, big planes, loops, islands. Okay, it's mostly here. If there's a big bomb attack, I don't know how to do them. A term I am sure I will use a lot moving forward sums this game up best. Functional for what it is. I don't think I really need to explain what is going on here. You are a World War II pilot shooting down planes over the Pacific. Typical proto-bullet hell shooter that holds your interest as long as you got nothing better to do, which fits Game Boy games perfectly. No loading times, very few menus, so you can just pull out your Game Boy Color and start blasting. Time to amp it up. Action Man. I mean, I forgot all about Action Man. It's a series that started as a British rebranding of G.I. Joe before slipping into its own thing years later. Which is fitting, as much like the G.I. Joe video games I've played before, this one is incredibly average. It's not bad at all. Honestly, it plays like what you'd expect the Mega Man 1 box art to play like. It's pretty punishing in its difficulty. Just that largely comes from the game's heavy controls. Now, it's easy to blame the controls in a game, especially a bad one, but this here could have been solid. Unlockable outfits and weapons, stage selection, kicking music, and it points out how worthless bow and arrows are when guns are an option. This game is definitely worth checking out. I've played a lot worse than it. Like Adventures in Grouchland, which I kinda accidentally just beat. It's easy to write it off as being a child's game, just I've played better and longer children's titles before. This game is all over the place in what your objectives are, and most stages are absolute nothing stages. If you're young enough to like Elmo, you're old enough to hate this game. Also, I have no idea who Huxley is, but I'm guessing he's a prick. The game isn't all bad. It mostly is. The fire hydrant boss fight was pure guesswork, and the timing was pretty rough compared to everything else. The minecart would lose the ability to stay ducked if you used it too much, with no on-screen indicator of how much crouch power you had left. The jumping is way too floaty for most kids. But, being positive here, this game would teach you the fundamentals of playing platformers at least. So that's 10 down. I was honestly surprised by how not completely crap they turned out to be. I found myself wanting to keep pushing forward, to be completely honest here. That is, until I took a peek at what's coming up, and that's when the real gravity of this undertaking sunk in. Sure, we already had some licensed stuff, just the staggering amount of tie-in titles hurts my soul. So I'm gonna get out of it for now. Until next time, an extra special thank you to our Patreon supporters, and a normal thank you to everyone else. Stay comfy, friends.